Welcome back, video creeps. You guys tired of this beard yet? We have like one more month, and then it's gone. Chucky episode 6 has dropped, so that means that we get to talk about it, right? That's what we say every week. And of course, it was another super loaded episode. Like, boy, did we learn a crap ton. We have to explore every single storyline. That's good. I like when we cast a wide net, but mainly we got to check in with Andy, which is something that I've been waiting on the whole season. Considering the season opens up with that, it's like, hey, let's return, please. So let's do this little intro and get right into it. Thank God with this episode, man. Thank God. Because, like, I'm going to tell you, I was watching these credits and, like, you know, every time that we watch credits in this show, they always give you, like, the big catch-up thing, but then the last thing that they catch you up on is usually the thing that they springboard the episode with. Like, that's what they start with. So, like, if you saw Glenn was about to eat a hot dog, but then the episode cut off, and the thing, it's like, now on Chucky, Glenn eats a hot dog, and then, like, you see Glenn putting that hot dog in their mouth. Usually it'll start with Glenn eating that same hot dog, right? In this credit sequence, what we got was, like, Andy. We got to see, like, what happened with the truck and then the whole thing. So then I was like, yeah, the credits have been going for a while. That means this episode's gonna start with yay. Plus the last episode, like, ended with them finding him, so I knew, like, there was gonna be something. But then the credits, like, kind of, like, pulled a fast one really quick. They, like, snuck something in, like, after, and then it went into the episode. But it just kept me hanging on. Super interesting intro to this episode with the whole, like, we learn what happens with Andy. We see these two Chuckies dragging away Andy with, like, you know, like, with, like, bald Chucky, which I guess if I'm gonna play this game, right, if I'm gonna be honest with myself, how bad did that fucking, like, crash, like, mess up bald Chucky's head? Because, like, we see him and he's like, he didn't even get a knife at the beginning, right? But then when we see him again, he's like Marlon Brando. That said, I did like that we see these three Chuckies, and, like, looking back on it now, we know each one of those Chuckies, like, that we saw in that first episode, right? Because there was 3. Now there are 3 Chuckies. It's like, oh, bald Chucky became the Colonel, and then, like, one of those Chuckies ended up getting really buff, and then the other Chucky got, like, brainwashed to be good Chucky, maybe. That's confusing, right? But we see those Chuckies all, like, drag away Andy, and then we find out that Andy has been getting tortured for a year. He's just a very hairy man. He grows hair very well. He's like the opposite of bald Chucky. Andy is, like, follically gifted. Someone give that man like a trophy or something. Is there a you grew your hair trophy? Again, this is coming on. Now we see the relationship between Colonel Chucky and, like, Dr. Mixer. We learned quite a few things, like the fact that, like, we refer to the OG Chucky, if we can call it that, like, that the OG Chucky is now, like, Chucky Prime. Like, that's the main who has, like, strong plans. Like, he plays into this episode in a really great way. But Colonel Chucky is like, he ain't shit, man. He a bitch. And I like that. I did. I really, really like Colonel Chucky. It felt like the first time that Chucky was, like, a villain. Like, a real, like, villain. Like, there was no jokes coming out of him. I mean, later in the episode, there's a moment where he laughs at his own, like, doing and shit, which I guess he's a little cocky, but he's not, like, this, like, joke every minute kind of guy. Like, he's not like the other Chuckies. And I kind of liked it. I like the idea of us having, like, a scary-esque Chucky again, or, like, someone who's so villainous that, like, he's, like, someone that you don't want to fuck with. Like, that's how I felt about Colonel Chucky. He's, like, eating fucking Andy's leg and shit. Like, that's, as far as, like, the Chucky Andy saga goes, for you ultimately to, like, I want to kill you, I want to stab you, I want to fucking end you, I'm gonna ruin your life, for that to just get to the point where Chucky's like, you know what, I'm just gonna eat him. I'm gonna fucking eat him. That's fucking crazy. We see him walk over to, like, a fireplace and he's, like, roasting him like a fucking like a kebab or some shit. But more important information was released in this, where we also learn in this interaction between Colonel Chucky and Dr. Mixer that, like, you know, it was probably really fucking stupid of you to kill all the other Chuckies, because now, you know, it's dwindling down, son. And the new issue now for Chucky and his world is that the less Chuckies there are, the closer he is to his soul actually being like extinct, which I think is a really cool way for us to explore the multiple Chucky thing, but not exhaust ourselves on it either. I think the show had plenty of fun exploring like the different types of Chuckies and shit, but ultimately when there's only one Chucky now, like the one that could be left, which by the end of this episode we learn which Chucky that will be, and we'll touch on that, but I do think that makes the stakes a lot higher. I think that makes me more engaged in like what Chucky's doing. Everything has to be, he can't be suicide bombing, or can I say that? I don't think I can. But he can't be suicide bombing himself and like fucking just killing Chucky's willy-nilly. Actually getting to see Alex Vincent portray this like years later being tortured version of Andy was cool. My only gripe would be that like he's all like fucking man grabbing and shit after being like tied down and laid down for a whole year. Bitch, you are weak. You're not grabbing on people. I'm like confused on how he was even standing in the first place, because like isn't that like, you can't do that. If I sit for too long and I stand up, I'm like, whoa, I fucked myself up. That happens all the time. Now we see Sister Ruth, and she is just getting her foot fetish on. She loves her some Chucky feet. Obviously I know that that's like a sign of servitude. Like I know that there was a whole thing where like you wanted to like wash Jesus's feet, and so like they're doing that and shit. But like I don't know, she liked that shit. Now Dr. Mixer has to take Chucky like to the school so that way he can like kill these kids and shit. And like there's this really interesting scene where like out front of like the building that I really enjoyed, because it got me in my head thinking about the dynamics of these three characters, right? Because they're all, for the first time, you see them all in the same scene. You have buff Chucky looking through the blinds of one like window, and then you have like good Chucky just like hi in another window, and then you see like, I'm just gonna call him Marlon Brando fucking, or Brando Chucky, or fucking Bald Chucky. I'm just gonna call him whatever I want. But you see them all in the same scene, and there's this thing in the back of my head that's like, oh man, they are all motivated by different things. You really get to see how different each Chucky is in that little scene there. That's great. I'm very excited to see what's going to happen with the father in the next like episode and shit, because this episode ends with him now knowing that at least one of the Chucky dolls is alive, right? So we're going to see how that unfolds, because I can't wait for him just to get on board. I don't believe that they're going to kill Father Sawa. I don't. I think he's going to make it through this season, because we just killed him twice. I think this father character is here to stay. But God, I want him to turn the corner already. I just want him to be on our side. He seems like he could be very useful. But you know, even better than the father, you know who was that? Sister Catherine. Let's give it up for Sister Catherine. She is what's up. Like she's always on the right side of the fence and shit. Like I got nothing wrong to say about Sister Catherine. We take like a little trip to see like what's going on with like Glenda and Nika and Kyle, and like I gotta say, if this episode had like a disappointing moment for me, it would probably be that Glenn sent Glenda like the Glenn doll, and it just didn't feel like we got like this big moment. Like I'm really stoked on that storyline. I really want them to keep exploring that doll and see where we go from here. But the way that they took in that information, it makes me feel like, should I not give a shit? Do you guys not give a shit? Are we not caring about that in the big picture of this episode? Like it's not the most important thing that's going on, but I would have liked a little bit more attention in that area, because you know, if you're going to bring back the Seed of Chucky storyline, bring it back. I want to know the whole thing. We also learned in this like little scene that like Kyle has no ear now. How did that happen? What happened? Did the house explode just her ear off? Is that, I've never heard of that ever. Now all the kids are reunited, and like Jake puts together this like plan that's basically like, we'll all be in the same room. That's the plan. I'm sorry. That's what it was. It wasn't like, you know, they're gonna be like a mousetrap situation in here. Like we're gonna have things falling and like it's gonna be wild. Like we just follow me, guys. I have a plan. Now Jake was literally like, we're just gonna be in the same room, and then when he comes, there's gonna be like more a lot of us and stuff. So also, speaking about that room, how the fuck are Devin and Jake still sharing a room? Like if I was a father and I saw two kids kissing, I'd be like, well, clearly they're sucking dicks too. Can we separate these boys? They cannot be in the same room. Like, what are you thinking? Now we also get this whole thing that happens where like good Chucky starts to kind of act weird in this episode, right? So like he kills the fly all aggressively, and then Devin's like, he didn't throw up. That's odd. But then there's another scene where like Lexi is like kind of fucked up because she's coming off of her like, I don't do drugs anymore, like withdrawal bullshit, and good Chucky just comes through like the plug, like, yo, what you need? That's not good Chucky behavior. You're not supposed to do that. And like based off of how this episode decides to end, like I see why they were doing little things like that. Now, how do I feel about the whole glitched out Chucky, like good Chucky being bad Chucky sometimes thing? I feel like we already kind of have that with Nika and Chucky. I don't think we need to double that with like this new Chucky inside of like it's a really complicated feeling because Nika Chucky, because now there are like throughout the course of this episode, I know I didn't talk about it, but like they killed Buff Chucky, and then like Brando Chucky like gets into the room, Andy like stabs him in the back of the head and shit, which we're gonna touch on because I got quite the laugh in this episode. But now Chucky needs to get into this good Chucky body because now it's the only Chucky that's left. However, now that Chucky is like glitching in and out. So like in a way, are there 3 Chuckies now? Because there's Chucky Prime, and then there's the evil Chucky that's within this Chucky, and then there's this good Chucky that it's like this inner battle going between. Either way, I think good Chucky is gonna fucking die, except he can't die because again, fucking Chucky Nika needs to get into this Chucky doll because that's it. Like the Chucky souls are dwindling down. I don't believe that is the full thing. I think even if we lost this like Chucky doll, they would figure out a way to give us more Chucky dolls and shit. We never found out what happened to that head or what Kyle did to that Chucky head. I remember a while back seeing like what I can only imagine is a doctored picture now of like Kyle and Andy. They're like running through the woods together, and like the Chucky head is like kind of, which is funny because this video is late because I was playing God of War, but kind of like Mimir, just like on their side, like they were like walking through the woods or something. I don't know if it's just unused footage or like what, if it got like, I have no idea, but I know that I saw that on Twitter a while back. So they have not forgotten about that Chucky head. So technically, if they did kill off good Chucky, they could think that like all the Chuckies are gone now and they finally did it because they Voldemort styled like destroyed all the Horcruxes, but then they would just bring it on back with that head. So like, I don't know. Now I said that we would come back to it. Everybody always seems to talk shit about Alex Vincent's like acting. Like I've heard people say things like he's so stiff, he's so this, he's so that. I thought that he acted awesome in this episode. I do. I thought he was really, really funny as like Jesus like looking Andy and shit. His line deliveries were really good, and my biggest laugh of this episode was from Mr. Alex Vincent. Like Andy made me laugh the hardest in this. It's the scene right after he stabs him in the back of the head with the scissors, and then like good Chucky's like, I know you, and he looks down and he just goes,
what the fuck is this?
Oh my god, fucking that just the idea behind for a character like Andy to see that and to see it, like, it's just perfect. A lot of action goes down at the end of this little episode here. But without a doubt, the biggest shock and surprise is that Nadine finally died. I mean, we knew. But what was different about Nadine's death is that they really made her a part of the team. From where, like, it always felt like it was, like, the 3 main characters and then, like, whoever else maybe they meet on the way. Like, Junior never felt like a part of it. I did see like Nadine maybe becoming like a series regular. So to see her die, and then at the hand of like good Chucky, that was like, oh, Jesus Christ, I am I did like an audible gasp when I fucking saw that shit. I was shocked. But again, this is supposed to be very reminiscent of Child's Play 3. And who else was somebody that came in who felt like a true blue friend who would be able to make it on and tag on to this franchise? Fucking Whitehurst, son. Nadine got fucking Whitehurst. Guys, I thought this was just a fucking knock it out of the park episode. Like they're touching. What's really cool about this show is that they have their hands in so many different storylines simultaneously happening at once, and they are all coming together right now. Like it's the best way that it could have happened. So much happened in this episode as well. Again, guys, sorry for the delay on this video. I'm gonna try and get this out to you like today, you know, if I can. It's that God of War. And then like I have like a touch of the sadness going on like lately. Like just a touch. Like just a little, you know, like human shit. So I had to fucking just take a little bit to put this out. But as always, like this video, like it right now. And then in the comments, tell me what you thought about this episode. And I will catch you guys on the next video. Peace, video creeps.